Greetings and welcome to another tutorial on WordPress Forms, Contact Form 7. You might be aware of my previous tutorials on the Smart Grid plugin. Another plugin that I've created and which is due for a tutorial for quite some time now is the Post My CF7 Form. And as of recording of this this tutorial, I am basing this tutorial on the new version 5.0. The current version is at 4.1.12, but this will be updated in the near future to 5.0. In the meantime, I will give you a link in the description of this video where you can actually download version 5 of this plugin in order for you to follow this tutorial. The version 5 should be working fine, but as there's been quite a lot of rewrites of the plugin, I would advise that you test it thoroughly before you actually use it on a live site. And I would appreciate the feedback of any bugs, reporting of the bugs. This is where I really need some help, as there's quite a lot of functionality to test out there. Right, let's get on with this tutorial then. So the first thing we'll do is to simply install this plugin, and I've got it here. Here we go. So you you simply need to follow the add a new plugin, and you would have the option to actually install a file which you would have downloaded initially. So you just upload the plugin, you browse to the place where you have downloaded version 5 of the plugin, and install it onto your server. I've already installed it here, and it is over here, Post My CF7 Form, and you can see I got 5.0 beta. By the time I release this video, this will be actually 5.0, as I've been putting the final touches to the beta version. And you can see I also have the deactivated version 4.1.12 on this same server, and that doesn't create any issue as long as it's deactivated. Right. The other thing also that this tutorial is going to be using is the Smart Grid. So if you do not actually require the Smart Grid to get the Post My CF7 Form to work, the plugin will work simply with the Contact Form 7 plugin installed. But for the sake of clarity and the ability to build more complex form, I'm going to base my tutorial using the Smart Grid. If you have not been introduced, if you don't know what is a Smart Grid, it allows for grid layout designs with a UI editor, and I will be posting some links to tutorials on how to use a Smart Grid down in the description below. Now, if you move over to the Contact Form, you will see here the table layouts with the usual form to post custom column here, which you can, if you already have mapped forms whereby you've upgraded this, you've upgraded from a 4 version to 5. You will see your mapped posts, your mapped forms over here in this column. And obviously the typical create new. However, in the previous version, previous to version 5, the mapping editor page was a custom admin page. Now the mapping is actually integrated to the Contact Form 7 editor page. So let's add a new form, as this is a quick introduction to this plugin, and by default a new form is just a contact form along with fields for the name and subject and the usual contact form. But as you can see, because I'm using the Smart Grid, it's actually creating a 2-column form for me, and here you now have the tab among the other options for the form to map your form to a post. And by default, when you load you create a new form, it automatically maps all the default fields that are in a new form to a given custom post, which is basically contact form. So I'm just going to press publish and save this. And if I go back to the form to post, there we go. It's actually updated the post type to the contact us to reflect on the title that we gave beforehand. And now it's ready. I mean, the mapping's already been done. So as opposed to the previous versions of this plugin, where you actually had to get in and start doing the mapping, the default mapping is already set for you, just for you to get started and start using this plugin and see how it functions, because it does quite a lot in the back end, and has a lot of flexibility with hooks and filters for you to be able to extend and customize the way you want a particular form to be mapped to a post. So in this tutorial, I'm just going to quickly review the default mapping, which is to a new post. There is an option to actually put it to an existing post, but I will cover that in a different tutorial. And by default, the form is in draft mode. In draft mode, what will happen is you can edit and save your mapping, but no form submissions will actually be saved to any post. You can see here the new post has been created for us. So the plugin, because we've actually saved and we published this new form and this new mapping, the custom post that is being created by the plugin is already being created on the dashboard. But obviously right now there is no actual post in it, simply because we have not actually submitted anything with this form. So what will happen now is if I switch over to the live version of this mapping, submissions now onto the form will actually be saved into a new post of the type contact us. And what will happen is that the post title will have the name, which is a required field, the name that is being filled in the form. The post content will be the message, the text area message. The post excerpt will be the subject, and down here the actual contact and the email field will be saved to a meta field, a post meta field called with the key contact email. It's very important if you do not have much experience in programming in WordPress, in the WordPress framework. It's very important that you understand what will happen to these attributes of a custom post. As you can see here, there are several attributes that determine how your post is being handled by WordPress. And in this case, we've got by default, we have the public attribute, which has been checked, the show UI, the show in menus, the menu position. So what are all these attributes? This is very important that you familiarize yourself with these attributes and that you understand what they do. And the tutorial is not going to go into these details. There is a link here about the documentation, the WordPress documentation on post registration. So I strongly advise you to read this documentation so as to understand what these attributes will actually do to your post, and that you have no surprises. So just quickly, for example, the public one here means that our post, although is being saved in the backend in the dashboard, is publicly visible in the front end, but is excluded from searches and cannot be publicly queryable. So it's not as if all your contacts messages will be visible on a page or something like this on the front end. But what it does mean is that you can then, for example, display some of these messages in the front end. And this could be useful, for example, if you have feedback being given to you and you want to publish some of the better reviews out on your front page. Anyway, let's get on with it. So now that we've got live, we need to update the fact that we've shifted from draft to live. So we click on update again. Here we go. Right, and if we now move over to the form to post, we can see that the form mapping is now live and it's ready to accept and create form submissions into custom posts. So the nice little thing with the smart grid is that it adds a lot of extra functionality for you to develop and quickly create forms, as well as test them. And one of the little feature is the ability to preview your form directly from within the editor, rather than having to insert the form shortcode into a page and then actually loading the page and so forth. So let's load this preview into a new tab. So here's the form then, and let's put in a couple of values. And let's submit this. So now the form is being submitted and being saved in the backend as a custom contact us post. And you can see here by default the post is created in a draft mode, allowing for someone to review the post before being published. The title is according to the name that was filled in. So you can see the the message has been saved into the content area of the post. The excerpt has got a hello, which is according to the subject field that was filled in. The author is whoever was logged in at the time of the submission. Else it's the default author, which is the administrator, but this can be also adjusted using a filter. And finally, the email is being saved in a custom post meta field. So this is how you can actually save any submission to a post of your choice in the backend. Thank you.